This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
This is the sound of your ride home with Dad after he caught you vaping. Awkward, isn't it? Most vapes contain seriously addictive levels of nicotine and disappointment. Know the real cost of vapes. Brought to you by the FDA.
Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
In October 2019, Arlington, Texas was chosen to be the home of a new national museum, unlike any other. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a unique home of military history. The 100,000 square foot museum will house exhibits, archives, and artifacts relating to the 3,500 U.S. troops who have been awarded the medal, the nation's highest honor for valor in combat. The museum will have 31,000 square feet of galleries dedicated to U.S. troops who have received the award. The museum CEO, former Navy SEAL and NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, said the museum will focus on education as much as preservation. The building will have 5 areas dedicated to Medal of Honor winners from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The main gallery will be located in a central plaza under a 25,000 square foot slab of steel, which will appear to be suspended in midair. It will be supported by 5 pillars. Black Rifle Coffee is a corporate sponsor of the museum, as are the Dallas Cowboys. The museum's board also includes over a dozen major corporations and 6 Medal of Honor recipients, including David Bellavia, Patrick Brady, and Britt Slabinski. Army Staff Sergeant Bellavia was awarded the medal for clearing an entire house by himself on November 10, 2004, as a squad leader in support of Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah, Iraq. He killed 4 enemy fighters and wounded a 5th in close quarters battle. Army Major General Brady flew and coordinated the evacuation of 51 seriously wounded men during a firefight in Vietnam in January 1968. Slabinski, a Navy SEAL chief and team leader, led a rescue team of SEALs during Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan in March 2002. Slabinski and his team flew to a mountaintop ambush site to rescue Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, who had fallen from the back of a helicopter. Slabinski led the team through almost constant combat against an entrenched Taliban force. Along with the board members, former presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama serve as honorary directors. The museum is expected to open to the public in late 2024.
All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation. The Misfit Nation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience need to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, We would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the MisFitNation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to our Thursday after dinner show. We have a good guest tonight, an up-and-comer. He's doing great things in the world of music, and he is pushing the pedal to get that career going. But first, as we always do, we look at our end-of-watch stats, and we have one close to home in Montgomery County, Tennessee. We lost Sheriff's Deputy Joshua Beck, former Marine Corps veteran. He served as a deputy assigned to their warrants division, and he previously served as a patrol deputy. He was in a car accident, and he lost his fight after about a month in the hospital. So keep the family of Joshua Beck in your hearts and prayers, and his co-workers as they go through this tough time. So as I said, tonight we have a great guest, also a Marine veteran, also doing great things in life. He goes by the name Th3Ory now, born and raised in Chi-Town. He lives in Louisville. He served 5 years in the United States Marine Corps and recently signed with Big Homiez Recordz in November of last year. He got married in July of 2022. He's the proud father of 2 daughters, God bless him, age 8 and 15. Tune in to hear his inspiring journey tonight, military service, and, of course, what he's doing with his life. So without further ado, let's welcome Ryan, a.k.a. Th3Ory, to the Misfit Nation. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
All right, bro. Like I told you in the green room, it was the worlds collided today, and you fell right into a link that was wide open. As you went into the link, it opened. That's perfect timing, and I'm grateful that it's you that got in here, and I can hear more of your story. Willis he has pumped you up so many times to me. You couldn't get you on, and this is perfect. So
yeah, I'm glad it could work out too, man. And like I said, I saw that opening, and I was like, I'm in there. So
definitely. I mean, I just gave basically a 2-sentence thing about you. I know you got more of a history than what I said. Tell us a little more about you from as far back as you want to go to how we got here.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, born and raised in Chicago, in the city, not the suburbs around it. A lot of people make that misconception, but I am from the city. I joined the Marine Corps at 22. I had never left home before that. So 2010, I enlisted, was in from 2010 to 2015. I met my wife, my now wife, in 2013. We got together. A year and a half later, our daughter Sadie was born, and that was a big influential decision or influence on my decision to EAS. Just on the off chance that something might happen to me, I didn't want to have my daughter grow up fatherless or with something wrong with me. So I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and cut my losses here. I do miss it, but, I felt like I needed to do what I needed to do. Family has always been number one on my list. So after I got out in 2015, we ended up staying in Jacksonville. I moved back home to Chicago for a little bit with my wife. Didn't end up really working out. So we moved back to Jacksonville. And in September of 2018, Hurricane Florence hit the Carolinas pretty hard. And we evacuated because Jacksonville, we were only like 10 miles from the coast. So we were under a mandatory evacuation in all of Onslow County. So I was like, yeah, we're not staying. So we left and came to Louisville, Kentucky to wait out the storm. But the place we were renting just got all jacked up. We had nowhere to go back to. So we just decided to start fresh and stay here. And we've been here since. I started doing music in February of 2019. It was a coping mechanism. I was hospitalized actually for a really bad panic attack. because after the hurricane hit, we were staying in hotels and a Red Cross shelter, and my car got repossessed because I couldn't keep up with the payments, and it was just a really stressful situation. So I've been hospitalized due to a bad panic attack, and the doctor was like, look, you need to find a way to manage this stress. Otherwise, it's going to hurt you. It can physically hurt you. So I was like, all right. So started writing music, and I've always been a hip hop head. So, I just kind of fell into place, and I was told, you're really good, man. You should probably try to pursue this. And 5 years later, now I'm here.
That's a journey right there to just start in 2019, really, and get to where you are now. Prior to that, like in grade school or anything, I'm sure, did you learn any musical instruments, any kind of writing music or anything like that in your early days, or you just picked it up that easy?
Well, actually, during like grade school, I didn't learn any instruments. I had picked up guitar. A mutual friend of mine, not a mutual friend, but a friend. His name's Patrick. One of my best friends, even to this day. He's like a brother to me, but he taught me how to play a certain song on guitar. I don't know if you ever heard of Alkaline Trio, the band. Yeah. But the song Radio was the first song I learned how to play on guitar.
Wow.
And ever since then, I loved it. And I just kind of taught myself. And then I played drums for a while. So I fell in love with drums, though. I was a huge fan of that instrument, and I still am. So, I had a little bit of a musical background. More so was the poetry, though. And when I was a sophomore in high school, I had a poem published. Nice. And so I've always been very good with telling stories. I've always been good with words. I've always loved poetry. I still do, but yeah, that was more of an influence than any musical instrument. So
that's great that now, just with that little background, you were able to use that and move forward and get, now you're signed by Big Homiez Recordz, and they're out of Utah. I think you said last night.
Yeah.
I was just shocked that there's a label in Utah that would sign a rap group, a rap artist, because Utah, always think Utah is this crazy place, but
yeah, you hear stories.
Yes. I'm glad that you're on a label and things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Brian Carell and Chico Lemus, man. Those are the owners of the label. Brian and I had actually been friends on social media. We were friends on Snapchat. We connected, and he was a fan of the music, and he hit me up and was just like, "Hey, we're doing this record label," because Brian had Carell Records as his own record label, and then Chico had Big Homiez Productions, which was like a promotion company, and they sold merchandise and stuff like that. But they had met and developed a relationship, and then they combined their businesses and they made Big Homiez Recordz. And I was one of the first artists to be on the label, which was cool. That they've had nothing but faith in me. Brian, actually, he tells the story. Whenever he does tell the story, he always says that he was always nervous to call me and ask me to sign, because he was like, dude, this guy's out of our league. He's not going to want to sign. And I was like, oh, come on. Like, no. I had been burned by, some management company before. And, I was skeptical about signing a contract with any kind of, company with my music, because I had been burned, and, I had some negative experiences with some others. But they were very transparent, man. They were awesome. They answered all my questions. They didn't pressure me to sign. They let my lawyer look at everything before I signed anything. It was just a really awesome opportunity. And I was big on the fact that they are very, very tight knit. So it's like a family oriented group. And that was very, very important to me. So they've been awesome. So shout out to Big Homiez Recordz.
That is awesome. And one of your boys is in the chat, Donnie Reeker.
Yeah, Donnie Reeker. Yeah. What's up, Donnie? That's the homie. He represents the music too all the time, man. So actually it's funny. I started my own LLC called From the Bottom. I started it in 2019 for my music. Because as an independent artist, I just wanted to look more professional.
Right.
So I was like, I had no idea what I was doing. And to be completely honest with you, part of me still doesn't. I have a little bit more of an understanding now, but like there's so much that goes into business with music. So it's like, I'm still kind of new to it, but I started this LLC and I got it tattooed on me. And my roommate got the same tattoo because he was part of the collective for From the Bottom. And so he got the same tattoo. And Donnie, he's not even part of it. He doesn't do music at all, but he got the tattoo just to show support. So shout out to Donnie. Yeah,
that's the homie. That's teamwork right there. Teamwork makes the dream work. Right?
Yeah, man. He believes in it too.
Awesome. Last night you referenced your proud dad moment of your daughter wearing a Tupac shirt and then you asking her about it. So obviously for a shirt prior.
Yeah.
Tupac obviously has to be some sort of influence for you. If you had to rate your top 5 of all time rappers, who would they be?
Ooh, that's always such a difficult question because
it's a kind of question.
Yeah, well, I'm fine with it, but no, I mean it's always so subjective, man. Like that there's always different people are going to have different top 5s, top 3s, so on and so forth. My personal for who I have like on repeat all the time. I'm a gigantic Logic fan.
Okay.
He was a huge influence for me. It still is. I'm very excited for his new project. So Logic, and this is in no specific order, but Logic, Eminem, obviously he's the GOAT. I don't care what anybody says.
Amen.
The skill speaks for itself. I love J. Cole.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of J. Cole. Kendrick Lamar is another one. Lyrical genius. And I just love the message in his music. And then I would say, as far as throwing it to old school, Rakim. Yeah, Rakim. He kind of changed the trajectory of hip hop in his own specific way, and he brought a lot of new styles and flows, which was something that the world hadn't heard before, and he's just unbelievable. So
he did come at a time in hip hop history when the pivot mark was there. So you had old school, the founding fathers were there. You had Reverend Run, DMC, LL. Yeah. LL is still booming. LL.
Yeah, LL Cool J is dope too, man. Yeah. I've even heard some of his new stuff that he's been kind of dropping on his Instagram.
Yes,
fire.
He still got it.
Absolutely. He's a genius too.
So he still has it, and he's been doing it for since the beginning.
Yeah.
He's still buff as hell too. So God bless him. And
yeah, man.
Doing great things for the culture and for the music industry as a whole.
Definitely.
And I think when Rakim came out, it was at that pivot point between that generation and the next generation, not the new generation, the next generation.
Yeah.
He was able to do that pivot point and be that pivot point to propel into this next generation.
For sure. And I've always been a huge fan of manipulating words and phrases and coming up with clever rhyme schemes and bars. It the lyricism is something that I look for most. Doesn't necessarily have to be super deep or meaningful. It doesn't have to be any kind of concept that you're talking about, because there are a lot of amazing lyricists that are great at telling stories.
Yes.
In their music, and I love that kind of stuff. But I'm more of the lyricism kind of thing. That there's so many factors that go into making a great song, and I've always just been a fan of hearing different people come up with different ways to manipulate these words and these phrases and kind of tell it their own way for their own stories. And it's just great to have that different styles that you can kind of pull from, because that's what I've done. In some of my songs you'll hear a more new school reference, like a Travis Scott kind of reference, and he's not like new school, but he's been around, but more mainstream sound. And then sometimes you'll hear me have an Eminem reference. I get that all the time. Weird. I get, you sound like Big Sean, you sound like Logic, you sound like Joyner, which Joyner Lucas is another one. Hats off to Joyner Lucas. As far as independently doing his thing, man, that guy's amazing. And he's very gifted with rap. So he's another one on the daily spins.
What would you say is the hardest part of getting your music out there? Do you go in a studio or do you do your private studio? What's the hardest part?
I'm actually in my studio now. So the new place that we moved into back in March of this year, so about 4 months ago, 5 months ago. But we have this real big backyard. It's like privacy fenced in, which is real nice. We never had that before, and it came with a shed. And luckily, the shed had already had the bones. All the framework was already done on the inside. And I asked the landlord, I was like, "Hey man, can I utilize this space for my studio?" And he was like, "Sure, I don't care." So I was like, "Cool." So we put like soundproofing insulation and moving blankets all over the soundproofing. It's like a dead room in here. I love it. So it's my own personal little space. It's detached from the house. I could blare the music. Don't have to hear anybody complaining, which is nice. But I'll come in here and a lot of the times I just put instrumentals on, on my phone, and I'll write something, from my phone, or, if I don't have my phone around me, I'll still use a pen and pad every so often, and just jot down ideas, bars. But I don't usually come out to the studio to actually work on something unless I have something done, or at least a verse to something, or a hook to something, chorus, whatever you call it. And I'll record then. Every so often I might get like a real creative bug in me. And one of my more recent singles, Falling from Grace, was made that way. I actually produced the beat myself, and I made the beat with the intention to sell it, and ended up writing, I'm like, let me write a hook for this. So I wrote a hook, and then I'm like, I really like that hook. Let me write a verse for this. And I'm like, all right, let me just keep this song. I'm not going to sell it. So that was done in like 4 hours. So I absolutely love getting those creative itches. I kind of feed on that, but at the same time, it doesn't happen like that all the time. But most of my creative process is I'll have headphones in, my AirPods, and I'll just sit there and write for hours and hours and hours, and come out to the studio when I'm ready to record something and lay it down.
That's outstanding. I mean, you have a process.
Yeah.
Some people have to sit where you are the whole day and just let it go. And you have a process where you create and then master it when you go inside there, do your masterpiece in there. So that's awesome right there.
Yeah. Not saying that I couldn't just sit in the studio and randomly put something together. But, I'm so OCD with it. Seriously, I don't like anybody else messing with my vocals, because I like the sound that I have, and I have a good quality sound. So I usually keep it to myself. There's only a handful of people that I trust with my vocals. But I'm so OCD about it that I want it to be done the way that I lay it out. And if it doesn't, then it throws me off, and then I get agitated.
Right.
So, I just kind of try to keep it to that order.
I mean, you have a total process, and that's what's going to keep you grounded and keep you pushing in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Once you try to do something someone else wants you to do, you won't like it anymore, for one, and then 2, you won't do it. You'll just get the way you want it.
Well, what I've learned also, being in the music industry, you have to get very comfortable with being uncomfortable sometimes.
Yes.
So, and I mean, I'm sure that can, work in multiple different things that people do. But for my experience with music, I've had to get out of my comfort zone quite a bit, and it's uncomfortable at first, but it's sometimes it's what needs to be done. And that's not to say that something great still couldn't come out of that uncomfortable situation, because sometimes that's when you make the best music.
Right.
But I'm open-minded, but if I have any control over it, then I try to keep that process the same.
That's outstanding. And speaking of your process and your sound, do you have anything there you can play right now for the audience?
As far as like
a clip of one of your songs or a song?
Sure. I don't know how that would work if I'm using my interface for it. I can try.
Let's see if you can try it out.
Yeah, let me unmute that.
Okay.
I'm hoping I don't get no feedback. Let's see. Where is my hard drive?
It disappeared.
That's not cool.
Hard drives aren't good to disappear.
There it is. I was like, oh no, that's going to be probably thousands of instrumentals and hundreds of songs that are gone. I would have been ungodly upset right now. But no, it's good. We're good. So something like let's give them some unreleased. Let's see if this will work. So there's a song. I'm not going to say too much about it, but there's a song called Capone, who, if you know anything about Al Capone, he's a famous Chicago gangster from the 20s. Yes. And I have a song called Capone, and the person who made the beat, shout out to Binks, he made this beat for me, and it's a pretty fucking awesome song. Sorry, I don't know if you can cuss on this, but
you already did. It's okay.
Okay, cool. I try not to, but I cuss like a sailor, so I apologize in advance. Let's see if this works.
All right.
Can you hear that?
Okay.
Something a little something light for you guys.
You're getting thumbs up in the chat and stuff, so they liked it.
Hey, sweet.
Hey, Colin, one of our resident metalheads, and our Tuesday crew member, Lacey is his name on the show there. He gave you 2 thumbs up, so that's good.
Sweet. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Yeah, I try to incorporate a lot of different things. And when I first started, it was a lot of just rapidy rap, lyrical, spiritual, miracles kind of stuff. But I had good content. Like I told my story, and a lot of people related to it, so it was great. But my second album, No Comfort Zone, that's when I met Ryan Watts, and shout out to Ryan Watts, man. He's one of my best friends, lives here in Louisville. But he is really the one who broke me out of my shell and helped mold me into the artist that I am today, and gave me a lot of building blocks. Taught me how to record myself, how to mix my music. He didn't teach me everything, but he taught me a good chunk of what I knew, and had to have that solid foundation for me to, do my own research and build my own sound on. But he gave me the building blocks for it, and he helped me with, adding melodics to my voice or my vocals, and adding harmonies and things like that. Gave me the foundation for building beats and stuff. So I absolutely love adding the melodics into my songs when it's necessary, and when I hear it and I think it'll sound good. Just kind of harmonizing behind it, doing a little singing. It's fun, it's challenging, and it kind of keeps me on my toes. So that was a little snippet of something that I was singing on.
That was pretty good. Like I said, the chat there, it's a great beat, thumbs up.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Donnie asked you to play his favorite, and he said please. So.
There's a couple that I think he might be talking about. Are you talking about Sinatra?
See if he answers them.
Sinatra is a older one. It was on my Look at Me Now album. And funny story about that song, it almost didn't make the cut for the album. I didn't want to put it on there.
You said, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, let me find it. So I'm a huge Frank Sinatra fan. I grew up around Frank Sinatra, and my mom played him, Dean Martin, all the time.
This will make you feel good. My grandmother actually grew up with him.
No way.
Yes.
Dude, that's so cool. I love Frank Sinatra, man. That's another musician that I introduced to my kids.
Nice.
But yeah, they didn't really know who he was until I showed them. But yeah, so I heard this beat, and it's like it's got that very jazzy kind of, the brass instrument in it, and I loved it. And so I was like, it's kind of gives me like a Frank Sinatra vibe. So I called the song Sinatra, and I like the song. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think it sounds like garbage or anything, obviously, but I didn't think it fit with the Look at Me Now album. It came out in 2021, and my wife, she was like, no, you got to put it on there. You got to put it on there. It's such a good song. And I'm like, I just don't see how it's going to work, but okay, fine. I did it. And it's like one of the top played songs on the album. So blew my mind. I was like, really? Like, of all the other songs that I have on here, like, you guys are saying that one, and I'm not upset about it. You like what you like, but yeah, Karen Frank, that's Donnie's mom. She says it's her favorite. All right, let me I'll give you guys a little snippet of that one. Damn. I love that. Speaks out. Hey, turn it up. Sinatra type shit. And then the drums come in. Yeah. For this rap shit, I'm a fiend. Hella focused on the green. When I wake up every morning like, go. Music must be in my genes. Ain't been at it since a teen, but I kill my competition like, no. Keep a banger in my jeans. I ain't talking about a pistol, but my bitch know what I mean. Like, oh. So fresh and so clean. I'm an outcast. Danger when I pull up on the scene like, whoa. Steady grinding on a daily, From the bottom, we've been making waves, trying to get us paid. Dripping red, probably should have joined the Navy, huh? Yeah, been the realest in the game. Tired of all these motherfuckers trying to tell me Donnie. Like Slim Shady, nah. No, I'm just trying to do my thing, be myself, no one else. Fuck the haters, I'm a goat like Tom Brady, yeah. You don't want the smoke, trust me when I tell you I'm a boss. All right.
Nice.
There's a snippet of Sinatra, if you guys like that one. Yeah, Sinatra, the bass in that song is intense. I know Donnie's got a crazy sound system in his SUV, and he always plays that. And yeah, it's ridiculous. But the overall, just the way that instrumental was put together, man, when I bought it, I was like, dude, I'm in love with this. So, just the sound of it with the brass instrument. And then it was just a very simple drum beat. But the 808s and the bass were so heavy, and I was like, oh my God, I love this. So I just threw something together for it and decided to put it on that album, and I'm glad I did.
Especially when it's one of the top played ones off the album, unbeknownst to you at the time, it would happen. So
yeah. But like I said, people like what they like. Music is so subjective, and that's what I think is such a beautiful thing about being a musician. It can also be stressful because you can never really make everybody happy. Right. Any artist will tell you that. And it's kind of the whole message that I had for Falling from Grace, which was like, you try so hard to appease the masses and to make something that everybody's going to like. But then you have those people that are like, well, this is garbage. And it's like, bro, seriously? Like, why even say anything at all? Like, you don't have to. You still listen to it, so thanks, number one. But it's so hard to not feel defeated when you're an artist and that kind of thing happens to you. Like, you're gonna have to develop some thick skin to be in the music industry if you're really trying to make something out of it. Like a career or anything. You're gonna have to get a very thick set of skin for some backlash that you'll get. So, and
a lot of that backlash, like you said earlier in the sentence, it's subjective to that person that you're talking to or you're playing. Yeah. They may not like your whole vibe at all, and they'll just go at you.
Yeah.
You see with artists down in Nashville all the time, they call it a 10-year town for a reason. It takes them 10 years, usually from the time they get there to the time they get noticed or they burn out and leave.
Yeah.
So it's a hard knock life, and you have to be able to take all them punches and keep pushing forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I know quite a few people who did music, and they were so passionate about it, man. And they just stopped because they got tired of, the hatred that they would get all the time. And I try to always remember the whole, it's subjective thing, what somebody says negatively about your music or one specific song doesn't mean that that's how the whole world feels. This might be somebody's favorite song. Like I thought about Sinatra, right? It might be, not so great sounding to me. And there's a handful of other people, but to a lot of others, they were like, dude, this is great. So it's like, but for my song for Falling from Grace, it was like, it was discussing that point of view, where you feel like you try so hard to make things that are, popping right now. Like you try to get a new sound and you try and make music that's sounding like today, which is something that I don't always really like. But in order to kind of, be noticed, you feel like sometimes you have to be joining that kind of the whole scene. So, in that sound. So it's like you're losing yourself in that process and trying to make everybody happy, trying to get more clicks and more likes and more comments and more followers. And it's like, man, you just feel like you're falling from grace, like, losing yourself to try and make everybody happy. And it just can't happen.
Donnie just chimed in with this here. You're so dope. We should just cut you a check.
Yeah, that's a lyric. It's a lyric from one of my songs. Look at me now.
There you see. He's #1 fan right there. I like it.
Yeah, man. Donnie's the homie, man.
That's outstanding. You started in the Marine Corps. You did 5 years in the Corps. Were you, when you were in the Corps, were you surrounding yourself with the right people in the musical world? Or you used that in the military as a whole? It's so diverse. You listen to everything. So you're, like you were at the air station there, I'm sure you had every type of music possible, either in the hangar or right off post. So did you find yourself gravitating towards one or the other, or just going with everybody?
I mean, really, I listen to everything, even a little country. I don't like country music, and it's got nothing bad against country music or country artists. It's just not something that I enjoy listening to. Like, you're not going to hear me bumping, Luke Bryan and Darius Rucker in my car when I'm driving. I'm not going to be doing that. But that's not to say that these people aren't talented. But I mean, I had a lot of heavy metal and rock music, and I, to this day, even now, I still consider myself a metalhead. I'm actually going to Louder Than Life this year. So I love heavy rock music, man. I'll listen to like Lamb of God. I'll listen to Chelsea Grin. I'll listen to, some oldies like AC/DC, Led Zeppelin. I'll listen to a little bit of everything, man. So I had that when I was in the Marines, but a big chunk of it was rock music.
It was rock, man.
Yeah.
I know everyone tries to get the uplifting beats, the motivational beats, the adrenaline pumping beats, wherever you go.
Yeah.
And to get things done, you have to have all that stuff going. So
yeah,
just seeing how it was for you guys. And Jake is happy that you went to metal here instead of just saying rap or country, because he's a metalhead. So
yeah, I love it, man. I think it takes a unbelievable amount of talent to be able to play some of the things that you hear in metal music. Like, especially, like I said, I fell in love with drums, so I pay attention to drums a lot when I listen to rock music. And like, some of the stuff that some of these guys do is ridiculous. Like, I don't know, are you even human type thing? And so I always had a very high respect for people who can play those kind of instruments and do those kind of things, especially when they're playing, 45-minute set lists or an hour set list. They're doing 60 plus minutes on stage and they're screaming at the top of their lungs. And it's like, oh my God, like, I don't even know how you do it, man. It's so much voice training and practice, and it's something I relate to, and so I have that appreciation for that skill set.
So Cagney in the chat said rock and rap do mix. In the 1980s, Walk This Way, Run DMC.
For sure.
And they said it doesn't get any better. And that was a great collaboration.
Yeah.
I think that opened the door for a lot of other collaborations as everyone went forward.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, you have that Linkin Park and Jay-Z.
Oh yeah, great album.
That album. Yeah, it was awesome. And I'm a huge Jay-Z fan too. So it's like, his music was something I listened to all the time growing up. Blueprint was probably one of my favorite albums next to Reasonable Doubt, which I don't think that I can really top Reasonable Doubt for Jay-Z. But the whole Linkin Park and Jay-Z, and then you'll hear Tech Nine. I'm a huge Tech Nine fan. You'll hear him on some crazy rock music also. He's an independent artist. He has his own independent record label. And granted that Strange Music is a very large record label now. He helped find or discover that label. So it's like he's built all this stuff on his own. So he could do whatever he wants. So I heard him on the song from Falling in Reverse, Ronald.
Yeah. If
you did not heard that song, it's incredible. And he has it's Falling in Reverse, Tech Nine, and Alex Terrible from Slaughter to Prevail. and it's a great song. And it encompasses pretty much my whole music taste in one song.
That's outstanding.
So, yeah,
everything in one clip, basically.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I love when bands like that and hip hop artists will collaborate. And I mean, even some like country rap, you know, you'll have, you know, artists that like Jelly Roll started with hip hop, right?
Yeah.
And he
still favors it, still goes back to it.
Yeah, you know, not to say that he still wouldn't do it, but I mean, you know, he's gone country and he's incredible at what he does. So I have a huge respect for Jelly Roll and the fact that he's just a super humble guy. I've never met him, but from what I hear and see, you know, he's apparently a super humble guy. I'd love to be able to meet or collab with him one day, but you know, it's those collabs, and when you bring those two any two genres together, that you can make something good and pleasing to the ears. That's what I really like. I don't really care what kind of music it is. If it sounds good, then it sounds good. You can't really argue with it.
If you put the actual work into it and not just use one part of the collaboration to get the title of the famous person to bring you up.
Yeah,
that doesn't always work. But if you're both actually passionate about that project, it'll work out and things will happen when it's supposed to happen.
For sure.
And speaking of collabs, as you start pushing forward in your career, who's the first person you'd want to collaborate with, if given the chance?
Are we going realistic expectations or right out the gate just swinging?
Let's go realistic, and then the wish list.
Okay, so it might sound kind of messed up saying it that way, but like realistically speaking, right now, just based off of my budget, because a lot of people have this misconception that as a hip hop artist, you know, you're making all this money. It is so difficult to get to the point where you're actually living off your music. I'm only fortunate enough to be able to do so because I'm in school and I'm using my GI Bill and I'm studying music production and audio engineering. So I stay at home all day and I get to work on music in school and I get to work on music in my personal, you know, music, you know, stuff that I do. So that's the only reason why I'm really fortunate enough to be able to do it. Plus I record people and, you know, I sell my beats and things like that. So if you do need beats, hit me up. But or a studio to record at. I'm pretty fair with my pricing. But anyways, financially speaking, somebody who's realistic, I would say I'd love to work with Vinjay. I have a great respect for his work ethic and his craft. I've spoken to him a couple different times. He's a very, very, very talented artist. And he's doing really great things for himself. He's getting so big as an independent artist and he's doing all the right things. And I think that him and I, sharing similar styles, I think that we would sound really, really great on a record together. So Vinjay would be probably the first person I could think of. I've already collabed with one of my inspirations for music. His name's Binks, Bingx. If you've never heard of him, he's phenomenal. But I got to collaborate with him and he's more, you know, established in the industry. He is an independent artist, but he's been doing it for a very long time. And he's my age too. So it's crazy. You know, he started when he was really young, but shout out to Binks because we collaborated on my first song with him called Lost and Loveless. And it was a beat that I made and I had asked him to be a part of it, let him know how big of a fan I was because I had been listening to him for years before this. And I told my buddy Ryan Watts, who again, he was the one who showed me his music and I was like, dude, I'm going to have a song with this guy one day. And then 4 years later, I have a song with him, which was kind of a full circle moment for me. But yeah, I got the chance to work with Binks. We may or may not have another song coming in the future. You know, who knows? Yeah. I think I winked with the wrong eye too. Like put my head this way. But yeah, whatever. But yeah, we may or may not have something else coming. But Vinjay and Binks, they have a good relationship too. They have a whole like collab album out, and they're good friends, and that's why I say Vinjay would be probably first on my people that I haven't worked with yet. Now, if we're talking like big names, like people who I would like dream to collab with, anybody in my top 5.
Definitely.
Logic would be my top. I already actually won a contest on I subscribe to Logic's Discord. And the funny thing about that is he was going and doing, oh, my daughter's about to walk in here. I'm live on a podcast.
I know. I just wanted to tell you something.
What?
So,
little girl, come on. What?
there's a big tree branch in the backyard.
Okay,
Oh,
I'll clean it up later.
Huge. It's huge.
I will clean it up later.
It's huge. You can't even pick it up.
I will pick it up later. I love you so much. Bye-bye. Close the door. Go now.
Bye, guys.
Sorry. But that's my daughter Sadie. So but yeah, I subscribe to Logic's Discord, and the funny thing about it is I've been such a huge fan of his since he really first came out, and I've always wanted to work with him, and he gets into his Discord and ends up, there's my wife. He gets into his Discord and actually ends up going live and listening to fan submissions for music. And I was like, I'm going to try and do it. So I actually did a remix on one of his songs called Beggin'. And it's got like a very old, like, I think it was a sample from like a song that came out in like the 50s, but it's so good. So I took his beat and I remixed it. I wrote, recorded, mixed and mastered and did all that stuff. And I put it out on YouTube. So I sent the YouTube link, but everybody was just flooding comments like, listen to my stuff, Logic, listen to my stuff. So I was like, I'm going to get, flooded out. He's not going to see this. So I tried to do it like 2 or 3 more times. My comment kept getting flooded. So finally I'm like, you know what? I've been on this live for like 30 minutes. I'm just going to try it one more time. And if he sees it, cool. If not, I'm just going to get off of this live. So as soon as I hit send for that last time, he's like, let's look at the most recent ones. And so he scrolls to the bottom and my song is right there on his screen. He was sharing his screen. Nice. And I was like, and I had my roommate, Joey Berserk. He's another buddy. He's a very, very good friend. He's like a brother to me, but he's my roommate. And he's also a fellow artist. He signed to Big Homiez Recordz also. I brought him with me. Very talented. If you don't know who Berserk is, go check him out. But he was sitting next to me when all this is going on. So I was like, dude, what if he plays it? What if he plays it? And Logic was like, is this my song? And he's like, it better be good. I'm going to play this. You better snap on this. And he loved it. So my heart was racing. My idol is listening to my song right now. And he absolutely loved it. And he ended up choosing it like 40 minutes later after hearing a whole bunch of other people's songs. He ended up choosing it to win the contest. And I didn't even know it was a contest, but I got a signed CD. Nice. I don't know if you can see, it says like to Ryan. Yeah, Logic. Yeah. College Park, which was his first independent album that he came out with after he fulfilled his contract with Def Jam.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a huge moment for me. So he would be number one for me to work with, man. Eminem, obviously, I would probably cry. He changed hip hop for me so much, and for the world too. But speaking from a personal experience, he got me so into it, man. It was just incredible what he was doing. J. Cole, I'd be a little intimidated because he does really good features. He's a very talented individual that I look up to. Kendrick would just be, I think he would be really cool to work with. Joyner Lucas, again, all these guys, I'd love to be able to do it.
That's awesome. And as you get bigger, people start reaching out to you. It won't just be them. Others will reach out to you to do a collab. And you hear artists say all the time, I'm not going to go chasing them, but if they come to me, I'm not going to say no. So
yeah.
And I think that's something, being humble and knowing what your worth is the best part right there. So when they come to you, you have worth and you're in there.
For sure. Yeah. And I have a really bad time trying to do that, like know my worth, because a lot of times, like some of my friends will tell me all the time, man, like you got to charge more for this, man. You have a great sound. You have this, you have that. And, you shouldn't be charging this amount of money for this. You should be a little bit more, man. You need to know your worth. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. I do it because I love to do it. Like, yeah, of course I want to make a living doing music. You know, I'm going to have to eventually get to a point where I want to make good money off of it. That's obviously the goal, but I'm not doing it for the money. Right. So at this point, I don't really know what to charge for features or what to charge for beats or what to charge for, you know, mixing and mastering for people's stuff or studio time. Like I just do it because I love to do it.
Because you're passionate about it. But once you understand your worth and you can do that scale, especially with the LLC portion,
yeah,
it'll really help you out and it'll help you grow both sides of your business. So that'd be outstanding.
Yeah, that's the goal.
So when's your next album going to drop?
Album. I just dropped one, Carpe Diem. That came out in April 5th, I believe it was, of this year. So I usually drop albums, like full albums, once a year. The Carpe Diem was kind of a last minute thing for me to want to drop, just because it's a sequel to my very first album. Oh, wow. And that was a full circle moment for me musically too, because when I wrote my first album, Carpe Noctem, which in Latin means seize the night, that's when I was doing a lot of my music. And I was just in a really terrible and negative mindset when I wrote and recorded that whole album. So, you know, just so many struggles and so much stress and, you know, going through depression and going through this, that, and the other thing. So I was in a really dark spot, and 4 years later, now I'm in probably the happiest, you know, moments that I've been in my entire life. And things have come together so much, with music and in personal life too. But you know, I'm just in such a different spot now. So I wanted to kind of do the other side of that coin, where I'm in the happiest and most positive mindset that I've been in a very long time. So Carpe Diem, seize the day versus the seize the night. And but the next album to come out, it's going to be another sequel to my Me Against the World album. I'm going to call it Crash Landing, and I'm aiming for a summer of 2025.
Outstanding. So Misfit Nation, get on his links. I'll share his link tree right now across the bottom. I've shared it in the chat. Get in there, like him, follow him on all the musical sites, Amazon, Spotify, I think Apple Music, everything's on there.
Yeah,
it's on
I'm on like 100 different platforms, man. Yeah. You can find me anywhere. Just type in Th3Ory. It's a Th3Ory. The number 30 is in my name because I was 30 when I started. Nice. So it's kind of the whole thing behind the name. But yeah, if you type in Th3Ory on any platform, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Deezer, Tidal, anything, you can find me.
Outstanding. And Th3Ory, if you can give advice to that young up and coming musician that wants to get in the game, what would that be?
I mean, I kind of feel like I'd just be giving the same advice that I'm trying to take too, because I'm still, you know, in a sense in that position. Signing with Big Homiez Recordz, you know, even though it is a record label, it is still an independent record label. So I'm far from making it where I want to be. It will happen, but it's going to take a lot more work. But be consistent, is what I would say. Tune out all the negativity and just be consistent with what drives you and your passion. Because letting a lot of outside sources dictate your next move or what you do or any direction you want to go, it can really bring you down. So be positive, be consistent, and just work hard, man.
Outstanding. Great advice. And Th3Ory, thanks again for coming on in less than 24-hour notice. Great. Thankfully, the stars in line for us to get on tonight before it takes us to get on here. And I look forward to seeing what you do in the future. I know you're going to be great, and I know you're going to do great things, not just in the industry as a rapper, but probably as a mentor along the way to those coming up. So
thank you.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on short notice as well. So it's always appreciated. And anytime you want me back on, man, I'm always down. So I love to, talk with fellow vets and be a part of that group. That's something that I always I actually told my wife. I was like, if the day that it really happens where we're comfortable financially with this music, I want to give back to veterans organizations. Definitely. So, being a part of that is just something that I want to continue to do. So anytime you want to have me back, just let me know.
Outstanding. And my brother, he's right there. He's the Tuesday crew. They'll love to have you on their show on Tuesday nights. Him and Lacey, they'll keep you entertained. I just produced that one. So yeah. I'm in the backside of that one.
There you go.
I'll get you that link for that one.
Yeah. Reach out if you want to give him my email, and whenever he's ready and wanting to reach out, I'll plan something with him, and I'd be happy to.
Awesome. Thanks again, brother.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. Y'all have a good one.
Go take care of that tree. Have a good night.
Oh yeah, thanks. Don't remind me.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation Show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.